Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. How are you, man?
Yeah, not too bad.
Cool, cool. Oh man, I saw your stuff. Looks pretty good. Um,
Cool, thank you.
let me bring it up. Wait, let me share my screen. Cool. Yeah, this is very nice. Cool. Cool. Very nice. It's like a very good. I watched it a few times. Only a few areas where we can improve a little bit. Here you see from here, if you look at the ref going into here, you see, well, actually it's really good already. But one thing I see in the ref is that the head is rotated in RZ little bit this way.
Yeah,
Um, I think you have it, but may be good to exaggerate a little bit more to get that feeling. Like especially here, it feels like the head is pretty much level as far as the RZ. And then here, this is very nice. This is very nice. And then from here to here, same thing. If you look at how much the head in the reference is rotating in RZ,
yeah,
looks like we can exaggerate a lot more here. And then here, that RZ is leveling out in this part. Also, the tip of the nose in RY is going this way,
yeah,
which we don't have here. And then the shake looks very good. One thing in the shake that really sells it with the dogs is the overlap of the skin, but which obviously we don't have here because that's a whole different department. But the ears have a lot of overlap in the shakes. For next pass, if you'd like to continue with this, I would
yeah,
suggest do a pass on the ears and add that, and then at the end they come to a settle. That could add so much. And then one more area we could spend some good time in is this arm and paw lifting up and coming back down.
yeah,
You see, as it lifts up, you see how much it's breaking from this joint here. Like when it's on the ground, it's pretty much straight, and then the paw is out, and then as it's coming to that, it's like from here, it's like breaks come to here,
yeah,
and then right in the air, it comes back again, and then goes down, which in your animation is a little bit too stiff, like those breaking of joints.
yeah, yeah,
If you'd like to get that in. Same for this one when it's lifting up and essentially the weight is being being off of it. See how much like it goes from this angle straight to like breaking 90 degrees
yeah.
and then coming back. But then overall is very nice. And then if you like to continue with this, the chest can, like the chest overall and the hips, but the hips we don't see too much. But the chest, some of the the keys, like it's we see the keys. You know,
Yeah.
there's a quote from James Baxter, one of the Disney animators, that he says, "Your keys should never be like I." But when he's reviewing work, he says, "I should never be able to see where you put your keys. Like
Yeah.
everything should flow." Whereas here, I think there's a few moments that that I see the keys, like especially here, where the chest comes here and then goes back this way.
Yep.
I see the keys. So it's just the pass of like doing all that love for the polish that hides those keys and makes everything feel more organic.
Yep.
Then of course the tail, if you like to do a pass on it. And then one detail that could add, you see in the ref here, the head goes up, and then from here to here, you see how much the neck is moving screen right, and
Yeah.
the head with it. Um, you have the head movement, head rotation, but you don't have the neck going this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be something nice to get. Here, there's a jaw open and close. Here would be nice to have. Cool, very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Also, one last thing here, be careful not to lift the back leg and the butt together. You see, they have the same timing. They start on the same frame going up and then coming back together down. Usually
Yeah.
there should be a little bit of offset when the hip starts to grow, then the foot takes off and then the foot lands first and then hips comes up.
Okay. Cool.
Just to break that up.
Cool. Thank
Cool.
you.
And let's see this one. How you continue on this one. Okay. The beginning for the first 10 frames or 9 frames feels like the head is very locked in
Yeah.
that pose. We need a little bit, even if in the ref you see that, you need those pixels to move a little bit. So it's always good to add a little bit of, uh, of, of, of movement to it.
Yeah.
Um, Now here in this pass is where we can take a little bit of license and go, um, um, even if there's something that is exactly like in the ref. You see here the pose of the back legs as they go from here to here.
Yeah.
They're both doing the same thing, same timing, and they have the same silhouette. Now, on a on the polish pass, I would suggest to maybe to get a better silhouette to change the pose of the camera far one a little bit so that it would drag behind. We would get a little bit of negative space between them.
Yeah.
And then here, this would be the close leg to camera. The other would be a little bit further behind. And maybe it would land one frame later.
Okay.
This is very nice. One thing, as it's starting to go down its descent, it feels like, especially with the chest, that the TY, the curve of a TY, is a little bit like this,
Yeah.
whereas I would expect it to be a little bit more like, yes, like to have that hang time and then go more in TY.
Yeah.
Check that to see. The hips are good in that regard, like they come all the way to here and then they go hard down, which is what you want, that shape.
Yeah.
That's very good. The water effects, love it.
Very low budget.
Well, it's in the absence of a effects department, it's very nice. It's a storytelling thing that you put in there. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Here it's hard to see, but maybe we can exaggerate the RZ of the hips, because usually when one leg lifts up, the other leg goes down. If you look at it from the behind, you would get this rotation in RZ. I think you have it, but maybe need to exaggerate it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then after it lands, I don't have the reference. Maybe I'm wrong, but usually you would have a very sharp in timing RZ on the hips as well when it lands,
Yeah.
like a 2 frame overshoot and then coming back. Now check the ref. Maybe in this one it's different. And then the last thing is that the head and neck, the up and down at the very end when it starts to go, feels a little bit too much,
Yeah.
like this one's. So that would be something to check the ref with. Yeah, this first 9 frames, also the body overall feels a little bit locked, like this part, the chest,
Yeah.
and a little bit of spine. So it's good to add a little bit to it. Same thing here. Be careful of the elbow. It may be intersecting with the body a little bit. You might need to
Yeah.
bring it out. And then same thing we talked about with the silhouette of the back legs. From here, we can take a little bit of license with the front so that they don't both move as one unit. We can separate them a little bit to get that negative space between them for
Yeah.
more readability.
Yeah.
This shoulder is very nice. Which we can continue on both front legs. Here, when this one lands and is taking the weight, would be nice to see the shoulder shoot up and then settle back down to set the
Yeah.
weight. Same for this step. And then if you have control on the toes, when it lands, it's good to like overshoot in 3 frames and then settle back down to sell the weight that as they take the weight.
Yeah.
They splay out and then overshoot and come back.
Okay. Cool.
Cool, very nice, man.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, so today, it's recording. Today, I thought we can look at do a horse exercise. Now, for horses, like they're usually the most um, used animal in movies and in games after dogs, cats. Um, we see them most, so it's good to spend some time on it. The fundamental and the basics of the movement is pretty much like the cat and the dog. Like the chest does its own thing, the hips does its own thing, the up and down, uh, they never have the same up and down. The legs, the front legs, when they are supporting the weight, they're always lock out. They're pretty much straight. When they um, want to, when they don't have the weight, they go to the bend shape, just like dogs and cats. Um, one one different thing here is that horses, we don't have that much shoulder move when the legs, front legs take the weight. Whereas in the cats, it's very apparent. In dogs, it's less, but you still see it. For horses, we don't have that much. And then for the hips, is the same. Like horses have very sharp up and down on the hips. And then the head and neck is pretty much the same. The rotations of the hips and chest are pretty much the same. They always go against each other. They never go in the same direction together. Both from the top, if you look at it, like when they rotate in RY, they go against each other, and in RX, when you look at it from the side. What else? In a horse, when they run, you would see that the head would almost lead the run. It's something we see in the cats and dogs when they go really fast, which they have in common. And then, wait, I had a graph that had more stuff in it. Yeah, you see, whenever the front leg catches the weight, they lock out, and then they start to bend when the weight is not on them. The disconnect between the chest and hips are much less in horses versus cats. Cats, because the flexibility they can have like a lot different, like the exercise that you did, Mark, like you will see like the chest and hips like have a lot of disconnect. Horses don't have that agility because they're not predators. Um, they're built for straight speed, like they just need to go fast to get away from danger through evolution. So they don't have that much flexibility, and that's why when they run and when they move, you would see more like somebody has animated them, especially for the rotation of the body, like with one control, like everything goes together. There's a little bit of disconnect and offset, but not as much as you would see in the cats. This one is I had one that was.
Do they move differently when they have a rider compared to when they don't have a rider?
No, not necessarily. The only difference is that the command for like changing direction would come from the signals that the rider sends them. So they react to that. But when they're like wild horses, they lead more with the head when they move. Whereas here the head is a little bit more constrained because of the harness. So you would see less of that. Other than that, the basic physicality and the mechanics of the movements are pretty much the same as far as I've seen. Like for example, here see like the body rotation is like this here, and then everything goes together, goes in here, and then comes back down. And come back down. So it's like everything is like more or less one unit. Um, and that's something that like for example in here, like horses that are less experienced and younger and are not yet fully um, like listening to the rider, you see some head movements and neck movements as the rider is trying to control them. Whereas a very experienced, like mature horse, where been has had a rider for many years, the head and neck like is more stable, and it just does what the harness tells it to do. Like this is a horse that hasn't been like trained yet, but so you see like the head and neck is doing that thing. But when we go to, like you see for example this one, see it's like the head and neck are just like that, going where it should be, where the rider is telling to go. Um, yeah, and then the flexibility of the front legs especially is very nice. They can almost fold it everything into a straight line. See, like the hoofs are almost touching the underside of the chest, and they can stretch out all the way to a straight shape. So these changes are what gives your animation more, makes it more interesting and more dynamic. Like the horse is doing the jump, but the movements within that movements, not specifically just for horses, for all animation basically, is what gives it that um, extra level of dynamicness. Just something to keep in mind. Look at that kick here. The hind legs are doing from this pose, and then they kick out, straight out, and then look at this hoof here, the overshoot on it goes here, and then comes back down to catch the weight for landing. One thing to keep in mind also, when they land, like 90% of the time from jumps, the front legs and back legs don't land on the same plane. Whereas cats and dogs, when they land, both of them come like that, but horses land like that, front legs. Um, as far as I see, I'm sure there are exceptions, but and then you see the back legs when they want to land. Oops, sorry, they always land in a pose that is one is more front, the other is a little bit further behind. This is the contrast. Now, I think uh, for this class, we've reached the point that you guys can just look at a ref and go ahead and do it almost to the point of perfection. So I thought not doing a like a cycle, because that's you guys already know how to do it if you want to, which is a good exercise if you'd like to do a run cycle and a walk cycle for the horse, just as a learning exercise. Yeah, but for today, I chose this one for us to do. It's like about 60 frames. And one thing that is very nice about here is that head and neck anticipation as it's coming right before the jump to change, to gain momentum, to go for the jump. And you see the cycle that it's doing is like a candor, I think they call it. It's like a cycle like this, boom, 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 like that. And then the transition from that is here when the head and neck from the pose that they have here, which is like a stable pose within that cycle, comes down here. You see how it leads or X leads and then the neck follows. Come down to this pose and then shoot back up for the for the for the force of the jump to lead the chest. And then as soon as it comes there, it goes almost straight. And then as it's coming to land, drags behind. And then there's a hard bounce. If you follow the eye on this frame, there's a hard bounce, boom, and then goes, which is very nice for setting the weight. Let me close and open it again to get rid of all that. Yeah, when you look at it, there's a cycle, and then there's that head move going to the jump, and then the landing. Cool. Let's get right to it. Okay. So I have a quick setup here just for the hurdles, and then usually we would start with the first pose. This
So you don't
one.
use the IK on the spines for the horses?
Yeah, no, I do.
Oh, you
I
do
do.
still.
But like that's a preference. Like I always use IK. However, um, just you have to just keep in mind that the disconnection between chest and hips are much less than cats and dogs. But you can use it, and or if you prefer, you can use the FK. It's up to each animator. So first pose, the neck is more straight than the neutral usually in this pose that I see here. The head alright is a little bit lower. Obviously the pose of the front legs and back legs, the body is pretty much straight as far as orientation. So here I see I need a little bit more head to be the neck to be straight. Head to be a little bit more like that. For the tail, I don't do anything for it now. I just put it in a pose that is not sticking out so that it doesn't distract. Okay. Okay. The next pose that I do, I just disregard all the move that the legs are doing, um, like the other exercise that we did. And we come to here when we have these poses for the front legs. Body again is pretty much straight, um, and then pose on the back legs. Select everybody. One thing to keep in mind is that like in these exercises, because we don't have too much time, I usually choose something that's the creature, the animal travels on a straight line, because changing of like rotating takes a lot of time to get right. We wouldn't get get as far. Um, but just something to keep in mind for your exercises, if you're up for it, it's you would learn more if you choose something like a horse, for example, goes straight, rotates into like 45 degrees, and then does something like a kick or a jump. Um, Keep that in mind. But here for this one, just C21. Just grab everybody. It's almost here. See the rest. Oops. X, Y. Font. Also, horses have more range of motion in the shoulders in this direction rather than the up and down. And that's why they built for straight on speed, and they need this um, this access for the legs to get to the maximum reach, and then the other way. So in each cycle they can cover more. So keep in mind where you're animating, don't use this access too much, like we would do in cat and felines, but using more front and back. And here the neck is a little bit further. There. Back legs. Let's check the back legs. Oops. This one is just lifting off the ground, so it has a pretty much straight shape. The other one lifted off a few frames before, it has this shape. Okay, looking very ugly at the moment, which on animations to start. Okay, so looking at the ref now, like we always say, the most important thing, the up and down, TY on the chest and on the hips. If you look at the hips, they go up for the first 6 frames, and they come down another 6 frames, and they just start to go up to get to this pose. So, starting from one thing I forgot that I see now is that the beginning pose, the hips are lower because this line is pretty much straight. Um, the neutral pose of a horse when they stand, the hips are a little bit higher, so you will see this curve, the curvature in the spine, like the middle of the spine sacks down a little bit. Now this is something best. Going up. There, let's see the timing. Time. Like 10 frames, 6 frames, 10 frames. Here. And then 3 frames, then go back up. Always check the TY. This is something we would like to avoid in the shape of TY always. We would want more of this to have a little bit of more hang time and a sharper drop to sell the weight. Yeah. And save. That's my next crash. Okay, after this, the TY of the chest. Here, first 5 frames, it's pretty much level. The chest even goes down a little bit. Ten frames goes up, and then 4 frames comes down to the next pose that we had. So if we block out the same thing, just here, bring it down a little bit. Now the in horses, the chest up and down, the range that it does is less than the hips, and that's because the chest locks when the front legs when they lock, then the chest doesn't move lower than that because that the front legs locking out um, keeps it in the same height, and it's just on the cycle of the going up and down that it has that range of motion, whereas the hips the back legs on the horse, they don't lock, so they go down and up more. When you look at the ref, for example, like you see how much here. If you look at the hips from here, see how much it goes down. Whereas the chest goes up, but then when it's going down, as soon as the front legs lock, then it limits the chest from going further down. So in the horses, you will see the hips move more in the TY. Something to keep in mind. Here, this, and then about 9 or 10 frames goes up. And then comes down. 4 frames comes down. Here, I made a mistake because here the chest is halfway. Here. And here, this. As the hips start to go down, it comes up there. That's correct. Just need more of it. More. Then this guy, I forgot, because it's the middle of the move, everything should be in here. Same with the legs. Okay, now that we have the most important parts, hips and chest TY, you can take a look at the head and neck. You see here, when on the upward move, the head RX is leading everything. You see from this frame, this frame, this frame. And then after the neck follows, here the head levels out, and then from here starts to go down again, leading with that RX, and then going there to the pose that we have, which is here. So let's see if we can build that in, just break it out quickly. The first 3 frames is pretty much keeping this shape. And then the next 3 frames, the head RX is leading, the neck starts to go a little bit. 5 frames keeps it up a little bit. Now we need an interesting graph editor. This one. And we'll talk about this. till 16. Sorry. Up, down. So you see in the ref, when you play this first part, you look at the head and neck, there's a little bit of then goes into the down anticipation pose. Let's see. A lot more of it. So be able to read. It's out quickly. So we have that, but we don't have the corresponding neck rate. Or if we do is too small and needs to be exaggerated. Starts from here. Okay, now we have it. And it's always good to take a little bit of license with it to make it more clear. The RX of the head is stopping a little bit too abruptly. Give it more frame to ease into that. Yeah. Then goes for, yes, you see, like when there's a defining move in your blocking, well, it's a personal preference. I always try to flesh it out before going forward, not just like putting one or two keys. That you should put enough keys to flesh out the move. Otherwise, it's a little bit of wasted effort because you have to go back and do it anyway later. So you see right now the head and neck move that we see in the ref, have it and exaggerate it even a little bit more. We can always reduce later, but it's good to have it. Cool. Now the most labor intensive part in any animal, the legs. I hate doing the legs, the blocking. Oh yeah, it takes so much time. But the polishing part is more enjoyable always. Just something here. Okay, let's see. Front. Okay, 2 frames after the head of the shot. Oops, sorry. Stay in the first frame. Skipping the first frame is strange. So here I take a look at this one. 2 frames later, contact. 3 frames keeps the contact. and then the rest. I'll go quickly. This guy, 2 frame, go to the ground, 2 frame, stay there, just copy paste. Now don't worry about the knee bending, you can fix that later, because the shoulder needs to go up a little bit. Yeah, 4 frames later, we have this shape as it's hitting off the ground, which is here. Keep in mind to constantly check the ref. Then 5 frames later. But when I'm blocking it out, I look at the extremes. I try to find the extremes, which would give me most bang for my buck, because Maya would then do the in-betweens, which kind of defines the action, but we have to go back in and set keys on every frame. However, for this part, gives us some frames for free, as Maya is helping us. So 5 frames later, we have this one, which is this shape. Then 4 frames later, we have contact. When the contact reaches forward, now is a good time to do a pass on the shoulder. Here, the shoulder needs to reach further, so we have room for this one. Here, the shoulder is a little bit forward. Here, the shoulder is going back, a little bit up, because that's how the leg is locking. As the weight is lifting off, the shoulder drops. It still stays behind. Okay, you see, with not too many keys, it's enough for that action to read, which is what we want. And then here we should adjust the shoulder so that the leg will lock out. So everything is a little bit slow. When you first do a pass and basically copy the timing from the ref, everything feels a little slow, but it's fine. You can always grab all the keys, scale them down, and then do a quick cleanup pass. But just keep that in mind. Nobody knows why, but whenever, like, this is something the old Disney guys discovered, that when they do a rotoscope, like they put a put a video reference or film reference back then and just trace it frame by frame exactly, and then look at the animation, it doesn't have the weight. It feels weightless, and it feels the timing feels less sharp. And it's exactly the same thing, but when you look at the live action, it has weight, and the timing has that sharpness to it. When you do exactly the same thing rotoscope, it loses that. Nobody knows why, but that's how it happens. So just keep that in mind whenever you do the first pass blocking of a ref. Go back and then don't look at the ref. Like, keep the keeping in mind the essence of the timing, like for example for a jump, having that hang time, landing, or for a run, and then adjust the keys for timing a little bit to keep that. Otherwise, everything would be a little bit floaty. Okay, now let's take a look at other. Right, draw it in a different color. Okay, so when we begin, this one has contact, keeps it for 3 frames, and then 4 frames later we have this shape. So let's quickly block that out. Go to the head of the shot. I have contact here. Here my contact is not very good. Let's show a little bit of that. And then that goes for 3 frame. Here we're getting a little bit of stretch, which we didn't get in the rest now. Why is that? It's because of the shoulder. I forgot to adjust the shoulder. And here the shoulder would be a little bit more. And then as back, also it's rotation on this joint, this one. What? Does it have it? Where's my rotation? This one. Maybe this rig doesn't have it. Looks like this rig doesn't have this one. The rotation that we get for here. Maybe I'm not showing all the controls. Check. Okay. But for now, work around it. But horses do rotate from this joint a little bit too, because we don't have much. Okay. Anyway, so 3 frames, still keeping contact, and then 4 frames lifts off to that pose. I could use this, but I want to keep the context for that. That's fine. Shoulder starts to come forward. It's always good to add keys for the lifting of the ground. This is nice. We're going to wait here. Let's mark this. Yeah, I'm constantly looking at the ref, trying to see where the limbs are in relation to each other, and also with relation to the rest. Like you see here, this is the chest, this is the neck, this one is almost straight on there with a little bit of front front bend, so that when you're posing it, you can use the same okay, so we have that pose. 4 frames later, we have this one. Each the leg is coming front to end. So that's higher. This rotation. Front. Yeah, this makes sense. Then 4 or 3 frames later, we have contact on that leg. The contact, when you look at it, is not too far in front of the body. There's a little bit of a like reach out, but because the horse is finding its steps to find the perfect distance for the land, it doesn't have the full range of the reach in front. So let us see if you compare, like it's almost under the jawline here. And there. So here with the shoulder, and this guy, then quickly checking the shoulder to see what's done. Check back, which is correct. Comes forward. Okay. Let's do save, and then let's left us, and we have contact, and it keeps the contact until it gets to that post that that's been moving out until. So and then of course the shoulder, go back to keep it locked. Okay. This, we have too many frames here. Get rid of two of them. Okay, now that we have this part kind of working, still not good, but it's this one, this one. Plus the contact post should be like this. One thing that's very helpful is to see how much offset there is between the contact of the left and right legs. And here the other contacts, 3 frames later. So if we have contact here, here we should have the contact for this guy. And the contact pose is reaching forward. That. And the shoulder comes forward to allow for that reaching again. It's lower. As it's taking the weight, shoulder comes up. Here, sometimes keys fall on the same frame like that. This is not good. Okay, cool. Now, same process on the back legs. Tedious process. That's why I love humans. We only have 2 legs to work out. When we begin, we have contact this leg, 4 frames, it keeps the contact until it goes straight there, and then lifts us off. Come here, get the first frame, we have contact, this guy, it's a little bit in front, and yeah, we don't have the rotation. It's okay. here when it's straightening out, we need that rotation here. This doesn't have it. It's just one frame. I do it manually. And then 8 frames later, we have the contact as it completes one full cycle. So you see it's here, and look at this thing, it's very interesting. In one frame, it goes from straight to this, no in between, one frame. 8 frames later, we have the contact. I find that frame. It's here. So we have this shape. And as far as how much it reaches forward, it's like if this is the hips, it's right there, very good. So I'm not still using the full range. When you look at a horse, like a full speed run, in each cycle they have a lot of reach. About this one, obviously. So just bring it to where almost it's and to get the most bang for our buck, just do one in between, which is as it's coming forward. That's that shape. Then that one frame, I know I would get at this one. Usually I would advise against doing frame by frame, but this one I really love it. And one thing that I just it's hard to see here, but I've seen it before. As the foot is coming forward, the leg is coming forward, first it goes up here for the initial lifting off the ground. Then as it's rotating the hoof to come forward, it feels like it drops a little bit. So when the hoof is passing, the TY of the leg is lower and is closer to the ground versus here. And then in 1 or 2 frames right before it lifts off again. I'm not sure about this. Let's try and see if it looks correct. So it lifts off. I need my graph editor to check the TY. That's that one frame. Maybe not. It's not worth doing that now. It's going to take some time to do that. We can come back to it for a polish pass. Okay, contact. 6 frames of contact. contact. Here we have too much of a stretch, and the reason for that is we didn't land. Well, one thing is that we don't have the rotation for this guy. If we had it, we could straighten out that. Alright, to fake it a little bit. Also, we didn't land far enough at the beginning. Z, Z, that. Okay. It feels a little bit. Yeah, that was my mistake. Here, when it's landing, because of the angle of the camera, I thought it's more under the hips. So when I look at it, it's more landing here, like halfway of the spine. So let's see. Now it's a little bit better still. Bring it. Something wrong with the trunk placement of this rig. Doing the right things. Here needs to be this. Which can help us with our yeah. Again, these rigs are not the best, but keep in mind that this shape for the upper thigh, this bend here should be more here, as we see in the graph. See this bend, which is I think is the knee. If you compare to a human, it's almost on the same, like almost the silhouette is hidden within the body. But here it's way out, so the rig is not very nicely designed. But that being said, I think this. So I adjusted the TZ, change this guy. Okay. Then I think we can give it more TY. TY is your best friend when trying to separate. And land it with a folder. And I always break the tangent so I wouldn't have to add more keys, but I can change the Save your scene. Test minor crashes. Okay, now we have one more game to go. The labor-intensive process of getting lamps. Okay, when we come, our first frame is just lifting off the ground, as it seems like. That. 9 frames later, we have contact. Okay, let's quickly work that out. First frame is a little bit behind. Almost straight, but not completely. 9 frames later, contact. Contact, where it's land, it's pretty much like the other one. Somewhere in the spine is the contact. And then we have to adjust this guy as well. Here we have to then of course we need that breakdown in the middle to define the action. 4 frames should be enough. Then here, one front, let's go. Of course, this frame is better. The first 2 frames that is lifting off the ground. Now the problem with doing one key in between for each cycle is that the TZ goes straight to there. But you see here, the first 2 frames, it's pretty much the same place as it was for the TZ, which is this axis. And then it picks up speed to come forward. It's the same for most quadrupeds. So the first 2 frames, we need to move further back, but it has that rotation. Then it lands. After it lands, 7 frames of contact. And then here again, we take a little bit of license with TY to have it to land a little bit sharper. And then break this joint straight. Okay, that. So you understand what's happening now, at least when you play back the blocking. Understand that. It's still a little bit ugly. So the frame that we have blocked out Looks like that's a little bit different. Here, it's 19. Choose this one. So everybody here, please. The RTC should be slowing down here. Here we're getting the letter of the stretch here, and that's because we have to adjust this guy. So, we can use this guy to adjust it. However, it still doesn't let us. Down here to fix that stretch with the absence of that one control that we need. We just grab everybody forward like that so that our landing process moves forward. Skinny here is not good. So let's try that. Okay, too bad. 1 second. Oh, yo, it's been a while since I animated any kind of horse. I'm a little bit slower than other animals. Here, something like that. This comes from here, that. That's quickly do the same thing for this guy. Okay. So is there something here? Arc. Okay. Alright, we have until here. Yeah. Until this pose, we have the first like 18, 19 frames. And then the next one we would block out would be this one, which look at it is this leg has contact, the other leg has contact as well. Sorry, it's that one. The body rotation starting to raise with the chest going up. And we have one leg, that. The neck, look at the angle of the body versus the neck versus the head. So these are the main things we want to get here in this pose. 7 frames later, it's right here. TZ continues, and it's almost at the point. Ignore the legs, please, at this point. Just the body. It's TZ always picking up speed. That's not it. Should keep more or less the same curve. This here is slowing down a little too much. So something like that. Now, if by that we want to be overall closer to the hurdle, which we want, then we need to go grab all the TZ as possible for this curves. Grab everybody, move them closer so that our horse is almost at this point, I think. Yeah. Okay, quickly, hips down, check where they come from. Yeah, they go through one cycle, it's starting to go down. Catheter, flat. So, cycle here, start. This one is landing a little bit more in front. Here. But then we need to adjust flat here. Front. The other one also has contact, but we check to double sure. Yeah, it landed one side before, even though it's hard to see this because of the, yeah, it's a little bit behind. That's good. Here, need to go wide a little bit because it's the last step before the jump. Usually they widen out their back leg stance to have more, to be more stable moves for the push off. Okay. Then now the chest. As you can see, the chest is a little bit higher on its way to go up for the jump versus the hips. Chest around here. This rotation. And we need to quickly work these two front legs so that they don't distract too much. This. Then this guy. Which one goes first? The far leg from camera goes first. By that we choose a little bit higher. Front, left, the perimeter. Front, that. This guy is, of course, shoulders. Forward. And they drop a little bit because the weight is going around them. Same thing for this guy. Comes down. Now we need more rotation on the body overall. As you can see here, we don't have enough. That means chest and both our legs should be higher. Also, our neck should be more of an angle with the body. It's almost going straight to the chest. That. Now for this rig, you see the skinning of the neck is not good here. We get this shape. However, our kind rigger has provided us with this guys that we can use to shape. I think. Ah no, remove everything together. Yeah, we can use it a little bit. I would save it for a polish pass. Here is too early to go into that. To those details. So now, one thing again we forgot to do is the RX, all the rotations on the hips and chest. They come into play here, especially when we get to this pose. Which you see as the chest lifts up in TY, it's also rotating this way in TZ, in RX, sorry. So it has this rotation. And then here you see the hips are still that rotation. That's what's creating this shape. So while we're here, let's go and do a pass on the chest RX. So here, up, and as we said, rotations always go against each other. So here, that. We should do that from the beginning. RX of the chest. The first 7 frames. goes this way, goes this way, and then get the ref. Here is rotating back up here, coming up for the front legs to be able to reach forward, which is around frame 15. Okay. Something that just this fit lens is too far back. This guy should be more. Same for this guy. See it? Oh, what happened there? The elevator is going crazy. Okay, this part is kind of working. Yeah, we were doing a quick pass on the RX. Save. So RX in the chest goes down here. That's correct. Goes up here to open up for the legs to reach forward. Then goes back down in this pose, which we have here. That. And then go straight into this. So something like this. Now, same thing on the hips RX. Let's see what they do. So until here, they are pretty much same rotation, and start to go forward. Here it feels like they have the most RX rotation this way. You can use that. Just run off for the back legs to reach. Here they rotate other way, level out. And the reason is the legs are back. Okay, let's get in. here as the forward. And as other way. Which is okay. So we have enough keys on all the main controls to sell the motion around. The rest we can come back to on the next pass. Okay. Now let's see our next pose. What we want to get is the push off. Now the push off is partially obscured by this piece of the hurdle. But if I would want to guess, I would say this is our push off, which would mean either this or this, right? Which means that if this is our body here, the legs are pretty much straight out. Straight out here. So push off those, and we have these guys. Mobilization is going down. Okay, I think it's 5 frames later. This guy. Now at this point, looks like the belly is right on top of the first hurdle. I will grab everybody to move them forward. It is again, I'll check the graph editor to make sure the TZ doesn't pick up suddenly. Too bad. We can push it a little bit further. And the chest is higher. Let's rotate it down. Head is this. Then legs, the far one, have that. add a bit more shoulder. Then this guy. Oops. Ah, that's there. Right. Okay, this legs, something is wrong. It's this guy. It's this. Because here we can see, okay, look how much it's bending under the skirts of the body. We need to get that shape, but why our rib doesn't enough for that? Yeah, we need to use the shoulder controls that we have to try to get that shape. Still is intersecting a little bit with the hurdle. Come back to it after. Then let's okay. These guys land too far out. They need to land more in front and under for the push off to work. And to get those shapes that we want, we would use these guys. This is zero out. This guy. Go back to this. Yeah. Okay, TY. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, it's so ugly right now. Something here that's not okay. Ah, reason is here. Until it's front there, until here it should be on the ground. Which is this guy. That's one of the reasons. Until this frame, this guy should maybe lift. Other guy. Oh, it lifts and goes straight. Ooh, no, it's too early. It's way too maybe one second. Yeah, okay. Now suddenly it's working. Here it feels like feels like we have not enough frames for the back legs to move the car. Let's see how many frames is that. Look at this one, we have the straight shape. 8 frames later it lands. Oh, we never go to straight shape. That's another reason. So stay on the ground until here, get this straight. We should land here. And we need to there. Yeah, now it's better. Let's check the other guy. Have the straight. The landing is not very good, and that's because the TY doesn't have that sharp drop. So I go to graph editor and look at it. There we go. That's the problem. What the hell is that? One more finish here. Then it has also should break tangent. There. Check TZ. Here. There we go. X. What the hell is this? There we go. Now we have a little bit of weakness. There we go. So you see this kind of problem. This is a great example. Like these things always happen. Like you are like concerned on getting the poses, and then like something is wrong. It's not working. Um, my suggestion is going back and fixing it. Like looking at the ref, looking at the individual limbs, see what they're doing. It's better to fix it early so that your blocking is working, even if it means spending more time on it. Um, but then uh, you, you're more confident going into your polish after. So now it's working. This guy can use a quick pass on the landing. See, landing is soft. Break this. Now keep in mind, this is an animation. When it gets rendered, motion blur softens everything by 15%. So if you ease into all your TY contacts with motion blur comes on top, then it's not gonna look good. So just always make sure on all your landings for horse is like a boom, like a bouncing ball that's coming down. Check this guy, same thing. Actually, this guy can have one more frame and land sharp. This guy, no, break tangent, land sharp. One key. Okay. Oh yeah, it's already 5. Takes so much work. Save. Okay. So we have our push-off pose. Now we need our, I think this one is good. It's like almost where the body rotation is in the mirror, like leveling out, going from this rotation to here to when it wants to land to here. So if we pick somewhere in the middle, it would give us the most bang for our buck um, to, to, to pose out that apex of the jump. So, taking a quick look at this guy, we have this, oh sorry, this color is not right. We have leg, leg. The back legs are starting to come forward. Yeah, they're still almost starting to bend, but more in the straight shape. Hip and chest are almost the same level as far as the TY. And head and neck are starting to go down. So from this previous pose that we had, here the neck has rotated more down, is more in line with the body, and then the head RX didn't change much, it's just the neck that's going down. Okay. So going with TZ, which brings everybody forward. Forward. And then at this point, the horses, the head and neck are past the second hurdle, so something like that. Then again, go quickly to check the TZ to make sure the speed didn't change that much. We can go a little bit further. That. Quickly. Now, what is happening to the TY of the chest? It's starting to go down. And the rotation starting to level out, the RX, TY, so I think here, RX, starting to level out, and back, down. And take that. So even when sometimes you see the rotation doesn't change in your ref, like for here when we have two keys like flat, it's always good to add a little bit of life to it instead of this, and both of them are in the same like locked out like this. It's always good to have that little bit of life, because in reality the rotations never, like nothing ever has the same value in real life. And you look at the horse, even if in the ref that you see you don't see too much change. Okay, now the biggest difference to this pose is the hips TY. And they are up and almost level the chest. Chest, our XYs, that, hips are X, are that to allow for the reach of the back legs. Yes, quick pass on the legs. Okay. Now here and then up, start to have them less wide. Here they're still a little bit straight. Where's my pull vector here? It's inside the leg, that's why it's acting out. Out. Yeah, like here they're starting to bend, but still have the relative straight shape because they're coming off of that push off. This guy is here. A little bit too much rotation. Okay. And see, the TY of the chest has too much disconnect here versus the hips. The hips are coming up, which is no longer they should. But the hips are coming up too much here. That's one problem. However, the chest, I think needs to keep going up 2 more frames. Starting to come down to have that disconnect a little bit less. Yeah. Okay, now this pose, let's check the ref. It's this one that we chose. So the front legs are on top of that second hurdle. Oh, we have much more height in the ref. Distance between the hurdles. Now we need to grab everybody and move them up. Also the back legs. that distance feels better. And once we've done that, we have to go back and adjust the keys that get to there, just so we don't have suddenly big changes. Just grab these guys, scale it up. This guy. Right, something. Why are those? Why are they? Let's check this. So the hips coming down, beginning to come down as the back legs contact, and 3 frames later they come all the way down. Okay, so that's the problem. There we go. We need a key here where the hips are there. Then they will push off. Now we don't need this key, we don't need this key, we don't need this key. Now rotation pass. This is correct. This is correct. Here. Let's do it here. And this guy. Okay. Now if we go back to the TY, now it feels better. It goes up and it has to keep going until it gets, which is okay. We can adjust the height once we have everything later. Anyway, this pose that we were in the middle of finishing out, which is this guy, the front legs, we need to do a pass. They are starting to pass. The upper side is almost parallel with the ground, as you see here. It's almost parallel with the ground, and then we have this one, this one. Let's quickly work it out. So here we have, yeah, overall we need to and we can use these guys to shape it. To shape it a little bit better. That. Fonts. Yes. And then next pose is the most interesting pose. One of the most interesting poses is the landing is this one. Now in this one, you see that everything is very dynamic here. Hips are starting to rotate in Rx this way. However, let's see, backwards position. The other one is here, I think. And then we have straight contact, this one. And this angle on the body versus this on the neck. So let's see if we can cut that out. 8 frames later, I grab everybody. Grab all the players. Then forward. Now, here when I look at it, the back legs are still, the hips is still better with all of the handle. So here, to make sure they pick up speed right in there, which I think we did. In that case, we need one more frames. And back. Because essentially here, they should not pick up any speed right when. Just after. Okay, now here. The chest is down now so that the legs can have the contact. Let's see that the rotation that RX is opening up to go for that. So this way, this, like that, and of course, X, Y. Now you see, when they land, they don't land with both, because it's in the movement. They don't land with the both legs in the same plane. They always land like this, so they can blend back into their cycle. So make sure we get that in. So here, this leg is forward. This one is aligned forward. That. I found it here to that. This is back. Zero out. Always zero out the controls to make sure. See here we can push it further. This guy out, out, zero, out. And then this guy further. Shoulder would come with that. Okay, I think you can move to that. Also, this goes a little bit. rehabilitation. Let's do something like that. Constantly looking at the ref for the new poses. And it's a very good practice to always compare, minimize maximize your pose accuracy. Cool. Now here, hips are starting to come down at the apex of the TY. That means let's find that apex. 3 frames before I say the apex. So here. Yes. Now something about this pose is not working. It's the RX of the this. TY of this guy. There a bit. Like the TY has to have more of a sharp drop on its way down, otherwise it weightless a little bit. Okay, yeah, it's kind of working. This pose, this guy should high. As the shoulders take the weight, they move a little bit higher, granted not as far as a cat would go, cat's shoulder would go. And then smoothly pulls out the legs, bends right on top of the second pattern, which we need to adjust after. Yeah. This is that. Close. See if I can use this guys. Yeah, again you see this point here. See how it has a little bit of distance with the body, just a little bit. But then look how much we have distance in our rig. That would, in a normal studio environment, I would send a ticket to the rigging team. Hey guys, please have a look at this. I really need it. But they would reply, hold your horses, pun intended. We will get to it when we get to it, which is usually how it goes. Alright, let's see. Let's get something hefty set here. One pause in between, because right now this Maya is not giving us what we want. That in between is this pose. Right now, I just key both of them together on the hind legs. After, you can go back and offset them so they have, because they never have the same timing and same spacing. But for this pass, see that almost time. Too slow. Oh, yeah, very slow. Yeah, that's what happens on the first pass. Everything is slow. Select all the keys. Let's see. This first part is not bad. It's this part that is too slow. So from 1027, 1028, grab everybody, stay down the timing, see how it looks. Looks better. And then the first part as well is very slow. Everybody and 2 frames. Okay, it's a little bit better still. Now this big timing change is always good to do it early on. It doesn't matter if it messes up everything, you can always clean it up.
Would you snap the keys or would you rekey?
Um, well, I'm old school. Yeah, I would snap it. I think Animbot has a tool that lets you do that and it cleans it up for you. So I've heard, but yeah, I would just once I did that, I snapped the keys. But when you snap, it has the side effect of sometimes two keys on the same frame, and then I would go and do a cleanup pass on everything. Okay, it's not too bad. Now, there's one part here that still feels slow. Here, 1026, 1032. Right, one frame. Yeah, let's keep it. And of course, it's always good to zoom out to see it from a distance. You see it right now, it's not moving as much as it should for this part. When you look at the ref, see how much distance the horse is covering before it reaches here. It's almost one body length and a half, or maybe two body lengths from here to here when it starts to jump. This is one body length, one, yeah, almost two body lengths. Now let's see if we have that. We have one body length. Yeah, we have it. For some reason it's really slow. What we can do is to grab everybody and go to our graph editor. TC, here to here. Grab everybody. mess up a little bit, but it's fine. Just yeah, it's better. Feels like it's lining up to the job. Actually, we should do that for the rest as well. Let's see this. That's
Do you never sync the graph editor with the channel box?
um, usually it does that, but I don't know, for some reason here it's not doing that for me. Yeah, usually when I select the controls and go to RX, it will select all the RX for me. Maybe there's an option on this.
Yeah, it's a right click option, I think. Sync channel box to graph editor.
Ah, sync graph editor display, this one?
I can't see the
Okay.
windows on top of that, but it should say something like sync graph editor to
Yeah,
channel box.
It's working.
Yeah.
Thank you. There we go. There we go. Cool. So, from 10 to 3, should do the same on this side. Everybody. Okay. A little bit of hard slowdown here. Just if I go to here, see it is on it. You can always go back and add a little bit of slowdown there. But for now, okay, now it's looking more like a push that's cool. So, running out of time. Let's see. The next pose I would add would be, so we have this pose. Next pose would be this one. And the reason for that is both the hind legs have contact here. These two guys, the body is straight out as far as the rotation. And we have these guys. Let's close it out. I think it's about 8 frames later. Everybody. Here. This guy. Out. Out. Legs. There. And then grab everybody. Lift them up. Switch. Breath. That's good. Check the TZ. How it's looking. Oh, let's do more. So, following parts. Oh, grab the thing. And then that. Okay. So, let's see. Now, front legs. Keep the count Contact. Front edge. Here. This guy. That. This guy. It's coming down here on its way. Yeah. It's more. Yeah. The last part is still very rough, but it's telling the story now. What's the head and neck doing coming to this place? Ah, there's that bounce on the head. If you follow the head, see, going down, and then it's a hard stop here, boom, goes this way. That's what's setting the weight. So this one lands. 1 frame later is the lowest point of the head. It's here, this one. Goes back. Always be on the lookout for bounces. Head, chest, hips. That's what sells the weight. Almost all the creatures. Something the RX of the head will not get it. Ah, it's the drag. So see, as the neck and body is going down, the head is opening up. RX in this way. See here, it's more rotated that way. Here it's this way. Rotate it back up. Keeps that, and then there's a hard 3 or 4 frames as it comes this way to absorb the impact. Let's see if we can get that in completely. So maybe again. up. 3 frames later, good. Maybe it's not the link. Ah, it's this one. Okay. Yeah. So coming here is so good. There. Then as the chest and body is coming down, we needed to counter this. Here, still counter, then counter, this, this. Oh yeah, that's definitely harder hit. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, it's better a little bit, but this part is too sharp. And or it's here. This one more frame, and then goes there. Oh yeah, nice. Now the RX of the head is a little bit late because we adjusted the timing of the neck. Yeah, one frame, let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit too much as well. So, yeah, overall it's too much, but we can always reduce. And it's easy, time. Yeah, it's not too bad. Now, the one thing that I would go next to fix is the height of the jump. You're not getting enough height. Here, when you look at the ref, the horse has more of the height as it jumps over the hurdles. You really feel it. Here, something that I missed in the blocking out is that height and going up the elevation and then coming back down. I would do that first. Then I would do a pass on the legs here for this last part. And then with that, I would say this pass is done. And then I would need to go back in and do the second pass to start to flesh out all the different rotations. For example, here I haven't yet to do the Y rotation on the hips, or Z rotation. Same for the chest, same for the head. Those would be next on my list. I would do a pass on shaping the neck as much as I can. I would do a pass on shoulders and behind like this, what's it called? The hip locator, the hip control, which kind of passes for the shoulders, for the hips, to shape it. And then after that, then the polish pass, when I go in and like frame by frame everything to get the most out of it. Cool. So for next week, for homework, I would say now a walk or a run, either one is good, a cycle. The best would be a walk that transitions into a run, which
Okay.
I'm sure you can find a ref for it online, because the transition is not as easy. Like there are some good stuff in there that you can see to learn. And then on top of that, if you have some time, then a specific horse movement, like the back kick that they do, like in rodeo, like they do the jump and the back kick. That would be something nice. Or the front, when they stand on the hind legs, come up and do the bicycle kicks with the front legs. Something specific to the horse. That's also
Okay.
as an exercise. Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you guys. See you next week.
Bye. Bye.